Hey everyone, it is Katie Phang and welcome to the Katie Phang Show. Now on the YouTube channel, Katie Phang News. But the most exciting part about the fact that this is the Katie Phang Show is it is in partnership with the Midas Touch Network. You see a very handsome guy sitting next to me, although I'm not so fortunate to have him literally sitting next to me, but that's Ben Meiselas, the founder of Midas Touch. When it came time for me to get out of mainstream media and find my way into the holy land of independent journalism, I could not think of a better place to be than when the guys at Midas Touch. And so I'm going to have a conversation with Ben in just a few minutes, but there are some things that went down today in Washington that were completely worth you seeing. We're going to start with a clip right now of Senator Jackie Rosen giving a dressing down to Marco Rubio, allegedly our competent Secretary of State. But you got to take a listen to this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to get right into it. Secretary Rubio, I'm going to embrace my Jewish mother instincts for a moment. So as a mother, a senator, and a fellow human being, I can tell you that I'm not even mad anymore about your complicity in this administration's destruction of U.S. global leadership. I'm simply disappointed. And I wonder if you're proud of yourself in this moment when you go home to your family, because I've always found you, Senator Rubio, to be a bipartisan, pragmatic partner, a true believer that the U.S. is stronger when we lead with diplomacy and development. You have a strong record on this, but I don't recognize Secretary Rubio, a stalwart support of Israel. You've watched this administration abandon Saudi normalization with Israel in order to pursue business deals. You were once a fierce critic of Vladimir Putin, but you sat idly by as the president berated the elected leader of Ukraine for not capitulating to Russia. And worst of all, you've kneecapped foreign assistance, including programs that you previously championed and made America less safe, less strong, less prosperous in doing so. I know you know this in your heart. And I can't make this point any better than you did yourself in 2019 when you said, anybody who tells you that we can slash foreign aid and that will bring us to balance is lying to you. So with that, I'm just going to move on to my questions. Thank you. And I'm going to.
That is Marco Rubio. Now, that's the Foreign Relations Committee testimony that he was giving today concerning the budget. But as you can see, the budget was a secondary issue. Jewish mom guilt's pretty profound. I can give some pretty decent Korean mom guilt, but did you notice a few things just straight out of the gate? One, there was a very audible groan when Senator Rosen was speaking. I don't know if it came from Marco Rubio, but he definitely had earned that dressing down. Furthermore, Marco Rubio wasn't even looking up at Senator Rosen. I find that to be incredibly disrespectful. That's also on brand, I think, for this administration. But think about what you heard. You heard Jackie Rosen dressing down Marco Rubio, using his own words against him. And that is some of the most effective, I think, politicking that we can see in DC. When, for example, you're in court and you're using somebody else's words against them, we call it impeaching them. We saw Senator Rosen impeaching Marco Rubio today with his own words. And that type of emotional kind of let me just be authentic reasoning that we got from Senator Rosen, that's the type of stuff that's effective, in my opinion, not only in DC, but I think in the courts of public opinion when people tune in and listen. But it wasn't just Senator Rosen today. We also heard from Congresswoman Berrigan from the great state of California. I want you to hear how effective she was with Lee Zeldin. Take a listen.
You just mentioned two examples. Have you or EPA lawyers actually given that to the court or used that, cited that as fraud or criminality?
Well, first off, the standard.
It's a yes or no. Have you? You're
Yes.
a lawyer.
Yes.
They have mentioned this. Which hearing was it at? Because I don't see it in the transcript that happened in the United Climate conversation. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read to you the court transcript. Can you proffer any evidence that there was illegal or evidence of abuse or fraud, that any of this was improper or unlawful? EPA lawyer, I'm certainly not suggesting any of that was illegal or improper. Okay, just yesterday, an EPA lawyer at the hearing suggested we're not accusing anybody of fraud.
Did you understand that the evidence for EPA is not to establish criminality at the agency?
Well, you're alleging criminality. You did so in a Fox News interview. You said that's what this Greenhouse Reduction Fund was.
In order to
you shouldn't be doing that if you cannot pro-offer the evidence.
But Congresswoman,
this is not Fox News. We're not going to just allow you to just make allegations here without that evidence.
Well, if this isn't a media interview, you should allow me to go through the entire list rather than just going through.
Well, unfortunately, I only have 5 minutes, and I don't have time for you to filibuster.
If you're truly interested in the entire list of all the evidence,
fraud.
Cutting me off and allow me to get through the list.
Proving that point for Congresswoman Barragan, that if you can't get to the meat of the issue in 5 minutes, what are you supposed to do? I mean, that is a boom goes the dynamite moment in that House Energy Committee. Again, testimony from Lee Zeldin concerning budget, but this didn't have to do with budget. This had to do about telling the truth. Lee Zeldin served from 2015 to 2023 as a congressman from the state of New York. He's now the administrator for the EPA. We know the devastation that's being caused in our federal agencies. And so hand in hand, that is not Lee Zeldin. In fact, that's defiance. And you got to appreciate that the Congresswoman was able to say, look, this ain't Fox News, buddy. This is Congress. So if you're going to be here and you're going to try to make an allegation somewhere publicly, you better be able to back it up. And that is another example of effective politicking. That is effective work that is being done in DC, notably by two women in two different chambers. But I want you to compare and contrast, because let's be fair, we're going to show what the other side does. Take a look at who I call bullshit Barbie, Caroline Leavitt.
How many people has he fired? Thus far, actually, we have not had anyone fired, with the exception of one individual who did leave their job. But we have a great team here so far. So good. Thank you for the question.
Oh, I think Caroline Leavitt almost had a moment there, but from the mouth of babes, no less, right? Children ask the darndest things, and that child asks, how many people has he fired? But Caroline Leavitt, having the privilege of that podium, does it wrong again. She did it dirty. She didn't tell the truth. She said no one. As of May 2nd, the White House itself announcing that more than 200,000 federal workers have either been laid off, fired, or taken retirement early, courtesy of Elon Musk and his Doge tech bros. Now, folks, when you have that role of White House press secretary, you got to tell the American public the truth. But then again, all we see now is just an extension of Fox News in the White House. And so we really don't expect any better, which is why those clips you saw of Senator Rosen and Congresswoman Barragan are so important. They are trying to get to the truth, but I sometimes compare it to some Greek mythology. Sisyphus, the guy who was cursed to have to roll that boulder up the hill to watch it roll down every day. I think that's sometimes the experience that Democrats are having. And so I kind of wanted to continue this conversation with Ben Meiselas, who's been waiting patiently to have this conversation. Ben, number one, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to you and the folks at Meidas for taking me on and giving me a new home. But number two, you've been in the thick of it and you've seen what is effective messaging and your thoughts about this compare and contrast we just did.
Well, I've been waiting patiently, I would even say years, to have you join the Meidas Touch Network and to join independent media. So I could wait 7 minutes there with a big smile on my face backstage as I'm watching history being made right here. Aww. This channel that you're going to be pioneering is going to be an incredible channel. And I think it kind of furthers the independent media cause. Now, in terms of messaging, what I love about those clips is that it breaks things down away from the wonky insider beltway talk. And it's just humanity, right? I mean, Senator Rosen there, you know, speaking to her former colleague, Marco Rubio, who was somebody who used to work, at least early on in his career, in a somewhat bipartisan way. And now he sits there as a MAGA stooge next to Donald Trump. I mean, we're talking about someone who literally, his family fled the Castro regime, and he's now in the United States supporting a regime that's in the image of a Castro, in the image of a Maduro. And not only that, but based on the rulings of the Supreme Court yesterday and the Trump policy that led to the Supreme Court ruling of revoking temporary protected status, Cubans for Trump, Venezuelans for Trump, Latinos for Trump are now likely going to be sent back to the regimes that they fled when they sought asylum here and protected status in the United States. So what I try to do on the Midas Touch Network is really break it down at a human level, reflect to the audience that we're listening to them and hear their concerns, and then report on the news by not losing sight of what's really at stake here and not what narratives kind of the Beltway cocktail class is trying to push.
Yeah, Ben, I'm glad that you talk about listening, because I think a lot of the times people like to hear themselves talk, right? And I think when it comes to media, especially, we don't get the meat from the people that matter, whether those are the true experts that are not just a part of the consulting class or talking head pundits, or maybe just everyday Americans that have the most at stake when it comes to the demolition of democracy and what we're witnessing in real time. And that is why at Midas, because you guys have been listening, that's why we continue to see the type of content that is coming out on the network and coming out from the affiliated channels that are a part of the network. What I loved especially about these clips we saw today was, one, we saw how weak sauce Caroline Leavitt truly is. She truly epitomizes the talking mouthpiece for Donald Trump. But two, we saw what strong, smart, intelligent, capable, competent women can do. Those are the women of Senator Rosen and Congresswoman Barragan. Those are the people that we elect to go to DC to represent us. And so, Ben, I'm excited to share with our viewers right now that one of the things that we're going to be doing with the Katie Phang News Channel with Midas is the following. We are going to provide a continuing platform to listen and to provide experts who are going to listen and that are going to continue to give that knowledge, because knowledge is power, to all of the people that have been tuning in. I know you as a fellow lawyer that we have taken everybody back to law school over the years, and we now have a whole bunch of people that are in the fight with us. But I'm thrilled that I get the chance to fight alongside you and Brett and Jordy and everyone else who's a part of the Midas family. This has truly been one of the most interesting transition times for me, Ben, to be able to do this. But when we can have a platform like independent media, where we can do it in an unfettered way and have these very unadulterated, very honest conversations, this is where change happens. And that is what I think.
I agree. The most important issues that are impacting Americans and people throughout the world are often the issues that are least discussed. So if you listen to people, you hear what they're saying, you acknowledge what they're going through, and you program the truth, to me, that's always a winning formula. And when you have Katie Phang leading the way, that's a winning formula as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to continuing to meet you, see all of you, and to be able to be a part of this network. Again, it is the Katie Phang Show and other segments and other videos that we're going to be doing on the Katie Phang News Channel in partnership with Midas Touch. I'll also be appearing with Ben and other amazing, talented folks over with the Midas Touch Network. But in the meantime, I just have to say again, thank you, Ben, for believing in me. And thank you for believing always that being pro-democracy is the right side of history. And that's where we're going to be.
Thank you, Katie. And everybody, subscribe to this channel.
Thanks. Katie Phang here. The truth matters now more than ever. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching.